Did I know I was going to have this career? Absolutely not. Did I know that, I'd make finals of the French Open? Like, no, you have no idea that any of it's going to happen. You can only work hard and try to achieve your goal or try to achieve something better every single time. And I think that's what I've done. I've had like the highest of the highs, and then I've had like extremely low lows where I've just kind of been like figuring it out. My mindset wasn't to be like, oh, I'm going to be number one in the world. Like that wasn't me.
Welcome to Tennis Insider Club. I am Borja Duran, and together with my partner, Caroline Garcia, here is where tennis stories and life conversations intersect. Join us as we uncover the untold personal journeys of the icons of the court. From laughter to life lessons, it's all here.
Sloane, thank you so much for being with us today. First question, how did you start tennis?
I started playing tennis. I lived across the street from a club, and I just like started going to summer camp and like playing. And my mom secretly wanted me to be a tennis player.
Oh, yeah?
When she graduated college, she went to the French Open like for fun and was like, "Oh, my daughter's going to be a tennis player." I don't know why, but anyway. So then, like as I started across the street, and as I kept playing more and more, I got pretty good. Obviously, I wasn't very good until I was like 15 or 16. So it was kind of just more of like, I was playing for fun, like just seeing how good I could get or whatever. And that's kind of how I just like got into the sport. But there wasn't no one else in my family played tennis. Like my mom's a swimmer, my dad played football. No real direction in terms of like, oh, go with this coach or do anything like that. My mom, like our parents had no idea what, the whole tennis.
What was the supposed way to...
Yeah, like how to go about it or what to do or whatever. It was just kind of just like a free-for-all. And we moved to Florida when I was 10, and I started playing more and more. And that's kind of when it got more serious, obviously, because like those girls that I was playing against had been playing since they were 3 or 4. And I started when I was 9. And like, I was like, there was like a huge gap from like the girls who were like winning Little Mo, and I had like just started playing. So it was definitely an interesting like journey, but I mean, it was cool. I mean, obviously now I'm 31. Yeah, I'm 31. So like,
we are the 93 generation. Yeah.
Exactly. So
keep denying I'm 30.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, I'm old. But from 9 to 31, I feel like my tennis it's been quite the journey, but it's been fun. And I obviously, when you start playing a sport, you never think like, oh, I'm going to be a pro, I'm going to be this good, or I'm going to win this tournament. Like, of course, everyone has dreams and aspirations, but you really don't know how good you'll be or how long you'll play or if it'll be a career or if you just go to college, like whatever it is. So, that's kind of how I started playing. And
were you having fun at the beginning, or it was like something that you were supposed to do, as you said, like your mom wanted for you to be a tennis player?
Yeah, no, I was having fun. It was like a good time. Like my first like time that I ever played, I played with this coach. His name was Francisco Gonzalez, and he was an actual like pro player, and he was probably the reason why I still play tennis now. Like it was so much fun. Like I went there and everything was exciting, and it was like ice cream and pizza and like running around, and like it was just so much energy. And I think a lot of kids, like their first impression of the sport keeps them playing. And I honestly just had like a really good time. And then once summer camp was over, and then we started playing like in group, like after school or whatever, like I had like my little like core group of like tennis friends, and that made it really fun, obviously. And like I just kind of was able to like find like a new something, like something new, something fresh. Obviously, when you go to school, like you play soccer, you do this, whatever. And like, I think tennis was like new and fresh and exciting, and the coach was fun, and like it was across the street from my house. And it was the first time I was able to like ride my bike independently, and like I could go out on my own, and like, it was just like a new experience. And I think, it was fun, and it was just something that was like always available to do.
You went to school until when?
Until 5th grade. And then
which age? Sorry, 5th grade makes like
I don't know,
15, 16?
No. Until I was like, oh God, I'm gonna lie, I have no idea. I want to say it was like
Google that
11 or 12 or something.
Okay.
Something like that.
And after that, focus on tennis.
So we had moved to Florida, so I went to the school that was across from Everett Academy.
Okay.
And also where I met my husband randomly, but I met him in 5th grade. I was going to school, and then when I started playing more and more, there was obviously like a after school program at the academy. So, or like I wouldn't say after school, it's like midday. So you like
Yeah.
go to tennis at 1 p.m. or something like that. So I did that. My mom put me in that. That was super fun. Like, again, super independent, walking across the street of
Yeah.
school, like by myself, like, you know, having some sort of responsibility. Obviously now looking back, I'm like, tennis gave me too much responsibility because I feel like I'm like super independent. I do everything on my own. And I'm like, I can't depend on anyone. And I'm like very like me, like everything is like you feel like you have to do everything on your own. Like you're responsible for your team and you're
Yeah, of
responsible
course.
for literally everything. So that was kind of like a gift and a curse. Like when you're younger, it's like more of like a freedom thing.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, this is like a job thing. So I'm like, it's a little bit different.
How was it, that transition from playing just for fun when you were a kid, when you start to show some talent, you start playing some junior tournaments? Was it easy that moment or not?
I would say, yeah, I would say that when I was a junior, like even transitioning into pros, like it didn't have too much pressure because I wasn't like the number one junior in the world. I didn't win a junior slam. Like I kind of like blossomed a little bit later. So I would say it was like again, another new exciting thing of like, oh, I'm going to try to play pro and like see where this takes me or whatever. Like I didn't really have any expectations of like, oh, I'm definitely going to win a grand slam or I'm going to whatever. It was just like, this is a career. This is an opportunity, which was nice because I didn't have that like pressure on me. I think it was like I was a good player, but there were so many good players, you know? So it was kind of just like, wow, I get to travel the world. Like I get to see new things and like play at all these tournaments. And like, obviously at that time, so many amazing players were still playing. Like players that I'm like, oh my God, I love that. You know what I mean? Like
Everything was a bonus. No?
yeah,
The moment
everything was
like-
just like, this is so great. This is so fun. And now I'm like the old person that everyone's like, it's so nice to meet you. And I'm like, no.
At that moment, what was your goals or dreams?
I think when I turned pro, I think obviously I always wanted to win a grand slam or be number one in the world. I think, did I really think it was possible? Probably not. Like it was something that it's something that every tennis player says. Like I want to win a grand slam.
Sure.
Like literally ask any player and they're
Yes.
like, they say that.
We can
right?
confirm.
Even the non-players.
Yeah, even the non-players, right? So it's like you go into it being like, okay, this is like the ultimate like goal or dream. And then you're like, okay, maybe it's possible, maybe it's not. Like you never know. Like especially in women's tennis, like honestly anything is possible. And from week to week, there's so much change. But I think the goal was to like make a great career out of it and like win some tournaments and like do the best that I possibly could. And yeah, I got lucky enough to win a slam and have amazing results. But I don't think at the beginning, if like my mom wrote down like the things that she, you know, like expected from me as a player, I don't think she would have written any of the things down that I've done in my career, like ever. I mean, it's hard. Like, you know, it's something that you wish for your child. Yeah, like you wish for your
kid. It would be nice, but
exactly. And I'm sure maybe my mom's like, oh, like I would love for her to be number one in the world, but she's like, no, she won a grand slam, so it's fine. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, it's okay. It's okay. So
it's not too bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. But then like at the end, quite soon, no, when you were 20, you started to already have like some very good results, right? If I'm not mistaken, you did quarterfinals in Australian Open.
Yeah, semifinals in Australia.
A big win after with
that's when I beat Serena. I was 19. I think I was 19. I was 18 or 19. I don't know.
It was 2013?
2013. So
okay, so how old am I?
19, 20.
Yeah, I was like 19 turning 20.
19, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, obviously I had good results as like
yeah,
when
you
I
were
was
very
younger.
consistent in your ranking.
And I would say like as I was coming on tour, there were like my age group of players weren't like where I was. So I think that kind of like it was a kind of like a shock because I was the only one out of like my junior group that had like done really well, which kind of made it weird because again, another like role of independence and like just kind of like on my own and like figuring it out. I think it was an interesting journey, but it was obviously very fresh, very new and like exciting. Obviously like beating Serena in Australian Open and like making the semifinals of the Slam and like having really good results. Like that was just like a bonus, right? It was just like, oh, wow, this is like really going well. Like not what I expected. Like you kind of just continue to go on and try to get better and get better. And I think, again, my tennis career has been very long, I would say, like from say a good 18 to 31 is a long career, but I feel like you don't really know, again, you don't know what results you're going to have. You don't know if you get to the pinnacle. You don't know if you're just kind of like, say at 50, your whole career, like whatever it is, you kind of just are trying like every day to get a little bit better. And I think I've had like the highest of the highs, and then I've had like extremely low lows where I've just kind of been like figuring it out. But it hasn't been like something that like I would say like at every like turn and in every moment I've like learned something.
Sure.
I've been like, yeah, I don't really want to like, I don't know, I don't really like this coach because he doesn't do this for me, or I don't really like traveling to this place because it's like too difficult, or you know what I mean. And I feel like throughout my life I've learned a lot of those things and like kind of been able to figure that out.
Yeah.
But as like a normal person, I don't think life will be like that. So it's kind of like a weird thing.
Probably like that's a very good mindset, right? But especially when you start showing to the outside world that maybe you can do big things, I guess a lot of pressure, right? And starts to come, is it a new Serena? Or how soon she can win her slam? Was it easy for you to start handling all the outside expectations and pressure?
No, it was so stressful. Because I think like, as you see, like my mindset wasn't to be like, oh, I'm going to be number one in the world. Like that wasn't me. Like that's just not.
But everyone then
my personality. Yeah. So then everyone's like, oh, for sure you're going to whatever. And I was like, it was a good match, but like, you know what I mean? Like it's just very like.
So you were strong enough to understand that it was just like the outside world and that you still didn't want it like that, or that it didn't have to happen necessarily.
I mean, again, if I never reached number one in the world, it would be okay. Like that would be such an accomplishment. It's such a dream, right? But it's like, I won a Grand Slam. Did I feel like I was number one in the world then? Absolutely. Like I felt like I did like something that I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
I feel like wouldn't the outside pressures, I think everyone always like judges me like when they see me play and they're like, oh, you're not trying, you're not this, you're not that. And I'm like, guys, like, come on, like, just give me a break. But I feel like it's so difficult when you've been out here for so long and there's so much outside pressure. Like, I feel like I've lived my life like the way I wanted to live it, right? I never like went to a tournament and was like, so-and-so said I shouldn't play, so I'm not going to play. I was like, fuck it, I'm here. Like, I'm just like, you know, I'm like, I'm not going to, I'm going to try. I'm going to like figure it out. You were able to
sustain this mindset also when you were 20, because now at 30, now probably you've seen enough.
I feel, but like even before, like I won the US Open, I was just like, I'm here. I'm just going to like figure it out. And like, whatever happens, happens. And like, again, I was able, I feel like I've been able to block out a lot of like noise and nonsense throughout my career. And there's been a lot of it. And I feel like, again, people would only hope and dream to start playing tennis and have their career that I've had. Did I know I was going to have this career? Absolutely not. Did I know that, you know, I'd make finals in the French Open? Like, no, you have no idea that anything's going to happen. You can only work hard and try to achieve your goal or try to achieve something better every single time. And I think that's what I've done. And it may have looked a little strange. Like, I think for me looking back to it, I'm like, what was I doing? Like, what was happening? It's like at this point in my life, when I was 23, what was happening? Like, what was going on? Like, how did I lose to that person? Or like, how did I beat that person? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's just tennis. Like, there's a lot of like emotions and ups and downs and like just a lot of adversity.
It's a huge roller coaster.
Yeah. And like people from the outside don't see that. They just like, commentators see what they're commentating on in the match, right? They don't know like what happened the week before. They don't know if you're like, your boyfriend broke up with you or your coach left you, or like, they don't know any of these things, right? They just expect you to like show up and like be amazing. And I'm like, that's just not, well, that's not the real world, but, and it's also not the tennis world, but I think the expectation is that everyone shows up and is just like this perfect human being.
Mentally, you always felt kind of stable through your career?
No. Definitely not. I would say that when I needed a break, I just was like, all right, I'm going home. Like, you know, like I've always felt that I never like pushed myself to be like, oh, I'm going to like, I'm going to stick it out for another 3 weeks and play tournaments just because I need my rank, like, you know, whatever it is.
Because you're supposed to.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of players just do that in general. Like, you're just there because like, if you don't want to pay the fine, or you're supposed to be, or you entered the tournament, or you don't have any more withdrawals. Like, you're just like, I'm present, but I'm not like mentally, I'm not here. But I feel like that's just kind of one of the bad things about the tour, both tours, ATP and WTA, is that you're kind of forced to play even when you're probably not in the best mental capacity, you're probably not in the best physical shape, or you might be injured or whatever it is, and you just arrive because that's what you're supposed to do. And I think that's probably set people back more than anything, and not having the freedom or the independence to be like, hey, let me make this decision. And I think that in my career, I've done a lot of that of like, I'm just not going to go. So I think that that's helped me in a way, but also left me open to be judged by a lot of people of like why I don't play or why like whatever it is. So, and that like shape, like it's tough, but
Nice. Yeah, I mean, at the end makes sense when things are not working out, not to take a break and
but
try
it's
to
not.
figure out how to recharge batteries, because otherwise, like, it's like a toxic
It's
circle and you
like
just keep
a
pushing yourself
revolving
even more
door and
down.
it like never
Yeah,
ends. And
yeah.
you don't like, it's like a roller coaster that you can't get off. Like it's just like going, and you're always trying to figure out.
And when you were taking these breaks, you don't get anxious about like rankings, or you were fine with that and you were like confident that with your level, when you get back, you will be able to do well.
I mean, that's just kind of like part of making a decision and
It didn't
sticking with
stress you
it. And
much.
like, yeah, like I think that in tennis, like you could be playing the best tennis of your life and you could be ranked 60 in the world. Like that's just how it works, right? Like you could be on like a 15 match winning streak and you're literally not seated at a tournament. Like you're not like, or you're not even getting into the tournament actually. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like, that's just how the sport works. And I feel like sometimes when you know that you need a break, it's better if you just take a break and then you come back and you can be like a better version.
Sure.
I feel like the way we travel, even now, like the travel's way more intense than it was 10 years ago. And it's harder. And if you burn yourself out in the middle of the year, like
it's going to be hard for you to recover from that.
Like you're probably not making it to Asia at the end of the year. Like you're probably not like you're
Asia one. Sometimes it's like it's tough one.
Yeah, you're like you're probably not going to make it through the full season. And I feel like there's always that pressure to just keep playing no matter what. And when you make a decision to like take a break or not play for a week or whatever it is, like you have to like feel confident that like that's what you need and like that's going to help you or whatever. And I feel like sometimes people want to do it, but they're just like kind of unsure.
I mean, it's maybe now it's a bit more. I mean, not if people is doing it more and more, but it's a bit more normal to get, if you want to take a break or something, you do it. But there is a lot of question mark that goes with it sometimes.
Yeah, why are you taking a break? Are you sick? What's wrong with you? What's happening? Did you get a new coach? Did you fire your coach? Did you like all of these things? And it's like,
well, you need like the long-term vision, right? That taking time off is going to help you in the long term, even if you have to suffer a bit ranking-wise or whatever at the end.
Yeah.
When you were taking these breaks, were you training or it was like really like off, like time off tennis?
It just depends. I feel like over the last 10 years, I've had different breaks, like in terms of like if I just needed a mental break or if I just needed like
confidence break or whatever.
Go home and like sleep in my bed type of break. You know what I mean? Like I've been on the road for 8 weeks and I'm like, what am I doing out here? So it's always been like different, like, but it's like always like figuring out what works for you because everyone is different, right? Some people like can be away from home for 4 months and like
be fine.
Yeah, like doesn't even faze them. I'm like 2 weeks away from my house now and I'm like, man, I got to get back to like my house, my dog, my like whatever it is. So it's like, I think it's always just depended on like what was happening. And I think the more you play, the more matches you win, the better you do, the longer you're away, like all of those things kind of like impact
your age,
your strategy. Yeah, your age. Like now it's a little bit harder for me to like pack for trips. I'm like, I go one day, like, you know, closer to the tournament, like all of those things just kind of impact like your well-being, I guess. And then how you handle it is just how you.
Yeah.
Do you have something in mind of how long you are going to play?
Everyone asks me that. I feel like I'm getting so old. Oh,
sometimes it's hard to, when I'm editing, it's like, Carol, come on, just speak a little louder.
You're doing good. You're doing good. No, everyone always asks me that. I have no idea. Like, I just kind of like.
You go with the flow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like,
it's good.
When I guess when I start losing and like, they're not paying me anymore. Like,
they'll have to push you away, right?
Yeah, I'm like, when this is a good job to stay at. Like, I mean, I feel like obviously it is a lot of travel. It's just, it's very hectic and it's hard and it's stressful. There's a lot of adversity. There's things happening every single week that nobody ever sees. But I think what job is going to pay you to put on your tennis dress and go out there and play a match on live TV? Like,
fair enough.
Otherwise, I'd just be at home. So I'm like, until I have like a kid or something, I'm like, I don't really know that. I mean, I just haven't, maybe I haven't gotten like the itch to stop yet, but I haven't gotten the itch like, I don't know, like, it's just,
Yeah, sometimes you just
yeah, I'm like, I feel like I'm not
I
at
mean,
the
as
like,
long as you're enjoying, there's no need to start raising the conversation, right?
yeah,
Unless they push you with an injury or whatever.
exactly,
Wow.
exactly. And I feel like now I'm like, this year I've like always, I've wanted to like go to new places and see new things and like do new stuff. And like this year I was like, I'm gonna make it to Asia so I can go to the Great Wall. I'm gonna like
nice.
make it next year and go
Yeah.
to wherever. And I feel like that's helped me more, like have something to look forward to.
Mhm.
Because I feel like when you're at a job for 12 years, you're like,
Yeah.
I know
okay,
the
well, what?
tournament, I know the court, I know
Yeah.
the hotel, I know the restaurant nearby. It's like, what
I-
should I change?
What do I do? I'm like, if you were at a job, a regular desk job for 12 years, you'd be like, this
Yeah.
is so boring. Like, this is terrible. So I'm like, as a tennis player, like, yes, we're so lucky and fortunate to be able to travel and do all these
Mhm.
amazing things, but
Mhm.
it's literally the same tournaments,
Yeah.
the same cities.
Yeah, you need to find
Same
new things that
routine.
excite you to keep going.
Yeah, just to like make it fun, keep it exciting.
I want to go back a few years, like right before your best results, when winning your slam, you had a long-term injury.
Mhm.
How was it for you?
It was super boring. It was great, but it was very boring. Like obviously when I first got injured, I had foot surgery. So I was 16 weeks in a boot in the off season. From like October, like through December, basically. I was in this boot. And they were like, oh, it's gonna get better, it's gonna heal, blah, blah, blah. Did heal. That was not okay. And then I went to Brisbane and I was like, man, my foot's still hurting. I don't know what's wrong with it. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm nervous. Maybe I'm stressed out because I haven't played since like the US Open. So maybe like there's like other things. Maybe it's in my mind. And I went to the doctor and they were like, you need surgery. Like it's not fixed and it's like worse than it was before. And I was like, oh my God. But I was already in Australia. So I was like, yeah. So I literally flew home,
That's been
had this surgery, and I was out for, so January to, I played Wimbledon was my first tournament bout.
Okay.
So how many months is that? Like 7 months?
Yeah.
yeah.
January to July 7.
Yeah. And then,
Crazy.
but I'd already not played since the US Open the year
yeah, true.
before. So I didn't really.
Yeah, almost like,
it was like 11 months. Yeah.
11.
So, which, okay, fine, whatever. But I got to do all the things that I wanted to do. I went to like weddings, baby showers, like graduations. Like it was great. It was fun, but it was just like, I was like finding new purpose in my life. Like I had almost graduated school. So I was getting my undergraduate degree. So I was like, okay, this is like something to do. I did some live TV. I did some commentating, just like, maybe this is what I want to do one day. I have no idea. And it was like most days, like I didn't have anything to do. Like I was just like,
Were you afraid that it was not gonna heal very well and you were not able to come back?
I wouldn't say that. Like I think that it was more of like, am I gonna be as fast? Like, am I gonna be the same player as I was before? Or am I gonna be like a limp version of like myself, right? Like if I'm gonna be like a like very average version of me, like I was more worried about
25
that.
years old Sloane.
Yeah, like that's what I was more worried about that than anything. Like
I understand.
if I'm not like, am I gonna be able to serve as hard or like hit my forehand as hard or like whatever it was, but not necessarily like, oh, am I ever gonna be able to play again type of thing. And so when I started playing, I really didn't have any expectation because I didn't know what was to come of like what I was doing, but I had a protected ranking. So I was like, I'm going to play it out. And I'm going to see like,
what is going on?
Yeah. What happens, where this goes. And then of course I played Wimbledon and I played like Ali Risk on grass. Everybody knows Ali Risk. Like she's like really good on grass. So I was like, this is
not fun.
Let's not scratch this one, whatever.
Let's go back home.
Yeah, exactly. So I played her and then I went back home to play, let's start on hard court. So like in the US, obviously a little bit better. I was going to take some wild cards. I didn't use unprotected, like kind of just like go through the motions type of thing. And I ended up playing Halep, who I think was #1 in the world at the time. And I played like a great match, like wonderful. I was like, this is brilliant. Like it was so good. I lost like, I don't know, maybe like 4-3 or something. I don't know, something. It wasn't like a good, like close score, but like I was like, wow, this was
this
like
is
really good. Yeah, I'm like, this is really good. So then, yeah, I went to Toronto and Cincinnati and I semied both and on my protected ranking, and I was like, yeah, so that was good.
Semis in both 1,000 events.
Yeah, like
coming
after
back from
that's my third and fourth tournament. So I was
Crazy.
like, okay. So then, yeah, I was playing really well and I started playing well. I got into like a really good groove, and then, yeah, going into the US Open.
Do you think you can win it?
No, I was like, I'm playing so good. Like, this is so great. Like, lovely. Like, everything's going great. Like, my ranking was back. Cause like when I started, I had no ranking. So I was like at 1,000 something, whatever. And so I was like, I just need to get into like the next slam, basically. So it would be Australia.
Yeah.
And at the time, the US Open didn't give me a wild card. So they made me use my protected ranking, and you can only have it for 2 slams. So I used it, and I was like, well, this is going to have to, like, I
have to deliver yes or yes.
Yeah,
now.
like this is going to have to work because I don't have any more from my protected. So I did that. And then like we got there, and like the week before, probably like 2 or 3 days before, I saw like Mary Carrillo and Paul Anacone, and they were like, you're playing great, kid. Like, Mary Carrillo was like, you could win the tournament. They're like, we just did our bets. And they're like, 10 people voted on you. And I was like, they're like, they bet on you. Like, you can win it. You can do it. And I was like, okay, well, we'll see. They're like, the draw is great. And I think Halep lost like really early.
Okay.
And so when she lost early, everyone was like, you're going to win the tournament. And I was like, it's literally the second round. I don't think so.
5 matches this
I
season.
was like, okay, I just got here, but okay. And then, I mean, I had like a tough draw. I played like Cibulkova, who had just won New Haven the week before. I played Gerges, who at the time was like 20 in the world.
She was a very solid player.
Yeah, I played Barty, which she was like really good. Like I played Vinci, who was like the defending runner-up. No. Yeah, defending runner-up. Yeah, because, And so, like, I didn't have an easy draw. And I was like, I don't know what these people are talking about, but whatever. And then I played Sevastova. That's when she was, like, playing really well. And we played, like, a battle, like, in the quarterfinals. And obviously playing Venus and Maddie was great. But, again, I couldn't have picked a better, like, way to win a slam or picked a better, like, way to get confidence or whatever. Like, honestly, like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know how that happened. And, like, it was an act of God, because I don't know, like, just the way in which it happened. When I was like, again, like even press after matches, I was like, I'm exhausted. Like I hadn't done press in a year. Like I was like, this is so tiring. Like I was like, I can't even do it. Like I was like, there's too many questions. Like I can't even focus long enough to like sit here and like answer 45 minutes of questions. I'm like, oh my God, like how are these people doing it? So I think like it was just good timing, and it was good, like, I was in a good space. Like I had a lot of time off. Like I was just in a space of like happy to be like living and have a good foot and like, just be playing tennis again. And I think sometimes we totally lose like that mindset or that perspective of like, I'm just like happy to be here type of vibe. And
with lightness, like sometimes we become
like
heavy.
Yeah, sometimes it's like so
expectations
heavy,
can kill you, right?
Yeah, it's the ranking, it's the results, it's like having all the pressure of like your ranking is like how valuable you are in life or how valuable you are to the world type of vibe. And I think that just kind of seeing the outside, like people would die to be like doing what I'm doing every day, right? People would literally give like their leg to be able to like come and play tennis against Caroline Garcia. Like, you know what I mean? Like people literally look up and are like so inspired by what we do every day. And like when we're in the moment and we're like living it, sometimes it could be like, this is terrible. Like I want to go home. And I think kind of just like shifting the mindset of like why you started or why you even are playing tennis, I think is important. And obviously it keeps you going like a little bit longer. Yeah. Because in tennis, as we all know, like 1 week could be absolutely terrible. You could have the worst loss of your entire career. And then the next week you can
win a trophy,
win a Grand Slam, literally. So
how was it for you to win the US Open?
It was fun. It was such a good time. Like I literally, like I said, I was like in that moment where I was like, this is so fun. Like it's great. Like I was just happy to be playing again. And I think obviously as an American, any goal is to win the US Open. Yeah. So I think when you accomplish all these things, if there was like one thing that I could have done, it would be winning the US Open. Right. And I think when I was 11 and my mom took me and my brother to the US Open, like, did I ever think like, oh, I'm going to win the US Open one day? Like, absolutely not. But like, I think we watched like Marion Bartoli and we were like, she's so good. Like, this is so great. Like, we thought it was like the best thing in the world. Right. And I think that like looking back, like on the journey and like winning at the US Open and like having that as like, if there's like one thing I did in my career, I'm like,
yeah,
totally fine. Yeah, I'm like, I'm totally fine.
It's not about one,
yeah, I'm like, I'm totally fine that was it. And like, I think in your tennis journey, in your career, you never know what's going to happen.
Sure.
But if you can work for like one goal or like one thing and like actually achieve it,
Yeah.
I don't know that you could say, oh, like if you won the French Open, you'd be like, I need to do so much more. You know what I mean? Like I need to go and like win every Grand Slam. Like I don't know if that's like the mindset, right? The mindset is like you work really hard for one thing and then you're like, okay, that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your mindset changed afterwards or not?
I think I was a little bit lost because I was like, well, what am I going to do now? Like, I was like, I don't know what there is to do. But obviously, like after the US Open, I was injured and I like kept playing. Like I just was like playing. Obviously, I went from no ranking to like inside of 15. So then not to play in the 1000 to mandatories, which I had entered on my protected. I couldn't pull out of. So then I had to go because I was going to get fined and like all of these things. So it's like, it was like an up and down like journey. Like I definitely would have stopped playing after the US Open. I think I lost like 9 first rounds in a row, but like my leg was like about to fall off. My knee was bad. It was a situation, but again, just like there because I was there. And then not winning any matches. And then I won Miami and then finals in the French Open. Like it was still good. Like I was still playing well. I was happy. Things were going great. I just was like injured and like I just couldn't like figure out like why my body was like letting me down. But of course I hadn't played for like a year. So like
it was doing things.
Yeah, my body was like, girl, what are you doing? So trying to figure out all of that while still like managing. Obviously, as you know, like when you have a good result, like it goes from 0 commitments to like every single person and their mother like wants to talk to you. And like there's like so many different things that you can't manage. And like I said, like even press, I was like, it was too much. Like, I think a lot of it was just being overwhelmed, I would say. And then once I finally was like, okay, like, what do I want to do next? I kind of like done that. Like I made the finals of the French Open. Like I really wanted, like one of my goals was to like do really well at the French Open, which I've done throughout my whole career. And I was like, I'd love to win the French Open. And I got to the finals and I was great. I was hysterical. I lost to Halep in the final. And I was just like, I could have only like dreamed of like making the French Open final, right? Or getting there, getting to that point and like allowing myself to like continue to like push more even after US Open or whatever. And I think like some of those things that I had achieved just in general, like I made another 1000 final in Montreal, I made the year-end finals, whatever. And like, I kind of just like kept pushing to do more. And then at one point, I think I was like, I probably should have taken a longer break. I was probably should have just been like, okay, that's enough. But I didn't. I probably like burned myself out a little bit and like wasn't in a good headspace. But I think sometimes that like changes your perspective because I was at that point, I was like, okay, well, what do I do now? Like, what is there to do? Right. And I think people who do it every single week, I applaud them. I don't know how they do it because I'm like, I'm exhausted. I don't know what, like one long week. And I'm like, man, I got to get home. So I don't know how they do it. I don't think everyone was I don't think every tennis player was put here to win every single week because it's like really freaking hard. But I do like, and I'm inspired by people who are able to do that because I think it's super difficult. But I also think that like, there's a reason why we have like the Caroline Garcias and the Madison Keys and the Coco Gauffs, like it's kind of what makes our sport like unique and very cool. And everyone can't be number one in the world. And then Iga's great. She's number one in the world, but like, I do not want that job. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's hard. And it's like, there's certain people who just like thrive in that. And I think that, again, that's what makes our sport like so unique.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at the end, there's nothing wrong with like not wanting to be the best of the best, no? And trying to find a bit more of balance with your sports career, still be super professional because at the end it's a complicated lifestyle, no? But like, there's nothing wrong with not wanting to go the extra mile during through all the year. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with not being Novak. Like, it's like it's okay. Like, it's okay. Roger, Rafa, like watching them play, you're like, wow, and I don't think like if you look back on like how much they were actually winning and like what was happening, like I never paid attention to it. Like we saw them every week and they were winning.
Took it for granted. It was like,
but then like now that they're not around, I'm like, who's this guy that I'm like, I'm like, who are these people? Like, it's so different. And I feel like, again, to be at that level and to win so much is incredible, right? And then there's like Andy Murray sprinkled in there. Like, we love Andy Murray, but like, he wasn't even like winning that much. And you're like, to us, he's like a legend, right? And you're like, I'm like, he didn't even actually, he won like 4 times. Like, that's insane. Yeah, compared to the other ones. And I'm like, to win 4 times is insane. That's incredible, right? But compared to the other players, like,
the comparison, he can look stupid in the comparison with those three, but then it's like when you zoom out, like, wow, that guy was amazing.
Yeah, he was so good. And like even Stan, like he won some slams in there too. And you're like, doesn't even count. Like people are like, oh yeah, no, that didn't really count. And I'm like, man, like you could be so good and it's still really, it's not as impactful. If that makes any sense. But I think again, it's perspective of like, you did the best you could. You won, you got the result, you did whatever. And like, you move on.
Are you good dealing with losses or not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
You have to teach us all.
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I would be like, oh, I can't sleep. Like, this is terrible. And like, you stay up all night. But now I'm like, I have cried after matches, like just like emotionally drained and like, I should have won that match or like whatever. But I feel like I cry and I move on, or I like maybe cut somebody out and I move on, like whatever it is. Like I try to just put it behind me because the more you sulk on it and you think about it, you think about it, it's like, it just makes it worse. And I'm like, if I need to go work on my T-cert, then let's just go do that. Or if I need to work on my forehand down the line, let's just do that so we can actually have a solution. Otherwise, you just kind of like harp on it. And then it just kind of like...
Yeah, in a dark place,
Yeah, it kills the vibes for everyone, especially your team. Like everyone dealing with you, like they just think you're like a psychopath and you're like, like it doesn't help anyone, right? If you have to deal with those people all year long, then you're just like, okay, let me just rinse it out of my brain and move on.
Cool.
You mentioned earlier that you did the university, and also through your career, you do some podcasts now, but you have some business. You just did I don't know the name, cosmetics.
Yeah, like it's body care. Yeah. No, it's the same. Doesn't matter. The same.
How important for you is to also do this things on the side?
I think for myself, I always needed something else to do. I think that's why, like at the beginning of my career, I always did like schoolwork. Like I always just tried to stay in school. I did my undergraduate degree with the WTA, which was free, and at IU East, and I did that in communications. And then right when I graduated, the USOC, like the Olympic Committee, they had like a scholarship for your master's degree. So I got my master's degree online also. At DeVry University because it was free. I always say if it's free, it's for me. So I did that also. Not that I've used my degree in anything, but I got my degree, my master's in business. And like I've always felt like I needed to be doing something. Like I never wanted to I didn't want to retire from tennis or at 35 and go, okay, now I need to like start over. And I was like, I always felt like I could do both. I always felt that like I'd come back to my room and I'd have 5 hours to do nothing. Yeah, I'm like, I'm not gonna watch TV. I'm like, no, I might as well like be doing school or do something. Like, if I never use my degree in my life, like, okay, fine, whatever. Yeah, it's fine. But like, I just felt like I needed something to like do. Like, I needed
learning. And
like
keep yourself active.
Exactly. And then I was the only person in my family that didn't have a degree. So like, I was like,
you first left behind.
Yeah, like my mom went to Harvard. Like my mom's not here. Like I was like, okay, I'm not going to be like the only person that doesn't get a degree. So
the US Open title was not a word. Was not good
enough. My family was like, oh, that was cool. I'm like,
but now,
like everyone, like my uncle went to Cornell, like my mom went to Harvard, like everyone is like has their master's degree. My mom has her doctorate in psychology, and I just was like, yeah, I'm not going to be like the odd one out. So I just continued to do school. If I was, I don't think I really was into my master's degree. I just was like, getting my degree was good enough. And then when they were like, oh, it's free, I was like,
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Maybe you could you learn something interesting.
Yeah, like I just did it in business because I was like, yeah, maybe one day I start a business, and then then I started a business. But like there was no rhyme or reason. It was just like, I'm gonna do something more. I'm gonna like push myself, see if I can like work a little bit harder, learn something else, learn something new that tennis like isn't offering me, and like just kind of just like figure it out. And then I started Dock and Glow, which was named after my grandparents. It's a body care line, and again, I did all of this schooling and like zero of it helped me like start this business. So I'm like, I mean, it's again an interesting journey, but I would say like none of that would help you like understand like tariffs from China to the US or tariffs from the US to Canada. Like, building custom formulations in a lab, like, or shipping or packaging or containers or like any of that. Like,
you know what am I doing? That's it.
Yeah, like none of that helped me. So I'm like, you know what? Like, I think it's just life and like things that you do. For me, it's just been purposeful because I've been able to like do something else. It's been like I've been able to keep myself distracted. I've had like things to do. I feel like sometimes, again, when you're on the road and you're traveling, like it's boring most of the time if you're in like a random city that is not Paris or Rome or like something exciting.
Joe.
Yeah, exactly. When you're in those places, it's like you don't actually have anything to do. So it's like to be able to kind of continue that and like have something to do that's like meaningful and like kind of gives you purpose. I think that's important. Because after a while, like TV shows are just not interesting like anymore.
Yeah, you get tired.
Yeah, that's good.
How important you think was your family to help you develop like this kind of light mindset towards tennis and like don't feel bad about taking breaks, developing your side projects?
I would say that my family's been super supportive. Like my everyone has been super supportive. My husband, everyone. But I would definitely say people, when I say like, oh, I'm going to start a business, more than one person was like, you're going to what? Like, you're doing what now? You're taking how much time off? Like, I would say I've been the one that's been very questionable, like in my family to like do things because I kind of just like do things on my own. Like I'm like, I don't necessarily look for approval. I just like ask for forgiveness later. So I've always been like that. I feel like everything that I have done, everyone has been very like, once they got on board, they were like, okay, that's great. But I feel like it's important to have like a good support system around you because I feel like you can make the wrong decisions, but if you're not there to be supportive, like
exactly, that's what
if they're not there to like pick you up after your like bad mistake, then it's like makes it worse, right? But I think if you decide something, you go for it and it doesn't work out, like if you still have the love and support from your family, like you can pick yourself back up again and figure it out. I feel like a lot of the times people will make mistakes or things that they regret or whatever it is, and like they have nothing to like fall back on or no one to like be there to be like, okay,
or
like,
people that would even push them more down, right? Like they would criticize
like,
you.
See, like I told you. Yeah, exactly. I told you not to do that. So I feel like it is very important, especially when you're traveling and like you're around the world. Like there's not much room for like outsiders putting you down because there's already like people like that on the internet who are doing that to you literally every single week, like after every single match. So to have like family kind of just be the stability and all of it, even when you're away from home, when you're at home, when you're like making decisions, when you're, talking about coaching, like all of these things, like to have like a stable like foundation is important. And I think for me, that's my family. For other players, it might be something else. I don't know. But it's like for me, like having that stability has been really important.
Yeah, when you go back home, you need people that cheer you up, not down, right? And they're not
exactly
remembering that you are like a human being, not a tennis player with certain results. Cool.
Exactly. When I after the US Open, I went back down to Florida. Like during COVID, I started a food truck business with my uncle. And it's been like such a cute little like family project. Again, another thing that people are like, what are you doing? But it's been so fun. And it's like been such a like experiment to like figure out how like food trucks work and like food and like when it spoils and like all of these things. Right. And after the US Open, I went back to Florida for like 5 days. And I worked the cashier at my uncle's food truck for like 3 days. Worst experience ever. Do not recommend. But I think that like doing normal people things, like
helps
as a
you get
tennis player,
right?
Yeah, like I was literally selling like rib sandwiches and like buy fish dinners to people, random people who have no idea who I am. They're just like, do you guys sell cakes? I'm like, yeah, we do. Like, so I think like just having that perspective of like the real world and like having real life experiences is important also. And like, am I going to work in a food truck when I stop playing tennis? No, but like, I feel like I'm just as normal as the next person that's like coming to order cakes.
Sure.
And I feel like a lot of the time you don't have that perspective, and like I'm like okay with that. Like I'm okay with being like a normal person, and I'm okay with like then going to like my like real job, and like now I'm in Guadalajara a week later, right? And I think like the well-roundedness of life is important.
Maybe it brings you lightness also to know that you can do something else than just be a tennis player.
Don't take yourself too seriously, right?
Yeah, like if I really needed a job, I'd be okay. Like I know I have some other skills, so that's good.
Yeah, it's important too.
Yeah. You were talking about social media hate, and is it something you struggled with in the past? All these comments from the outside world?
I wouldn't say, I mean, I feel like I've been talking about this for 10 years, and like when I really, really, really noticed it was when after I played Serena in Australia, it was like really bad after that. And I always like spoke up about it. And I always said like, this is literally crazy. Like, I don't know who any of these people are. Like, this is the most ridiculous like thing I've ever heard of in my life. Like you actually came here to like write me that you hope I die. Like, what is that doing for anyone? Like, does that make you feel better? Like, did like what's happening? Like, I totally didn't understand like the thought process behind like going online, like typing this to someone you don't know. And then like, I don't get it. But I feel like as from like, if I look at it from then until now, it's only gotten worse.
So
it's only gotten like players and people and like famous people have only gotten more accessible to like the world, right? There's no like barrier between like being a famous person and like someone who goes viral on TikTok or whatever it is, right? Like there's no like point of reference also in terms of like you play a match, like you play the best match of your life, right? You play 7-6 in the third, and if you lose and you just lost someone's money,
it'll be the same.
This is like it's like we hope you die, hope your mom dies. You're like, I'm gonna go to jail. I'm bringing a gun to your house and wish you, you know, the night. Like I hope all these things happen to you, like all these things, right? And it's like there's no one responsible for any of that. Like you would never write that to someone and like, or say that to someone's face and like stand there and be like, okay, well, what next? Like, no, you're probably gonna like punch in the face. Like, it's not like a normal thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like from then till now, it's gotten worse. And like, there's no like through Instagram and Facebook and all these things, like there's no barrier to like how close those people can get to you.
Nice.
And like as a professional athlete, like people are actually like paying it's essentially to like watch your match or paying like to buy Tennis Channel or ESPN or whatever to actually be able to watch you play, to actually then go and like say terrible things to you, right? And it's like you're like paying double to like do that. Like you're literally like so involved that like this is what you're doing. And I feel like it's only gonna get worse until it gets better type of vibe. But it's unfortunate because it like sours the sport. I feel like it sours like the way like me as an individual, like I wouldn't want my kid to play tennis.
Because of the exposure.
Why?
Yeah.
Like, why would you allow your kid to like?
I think that's the issue, right? Because like you, Carol, when like you're 30 years old, you've been on tour for 15 years now, and you know how to take it with a pinch of salt, kind of.
Yeah.
Like me, sometimes when I think about these girls or boys at 15, 16, starting to make it to the tour, like you start getting these kind of comments, and it's quite likely that it can have an impact in your mental health, right?
But absolutely,
and it got worse. Like you mentioned, it was like 11 years ago, and it got worse.
Yeah,
so what is it going to be in like 10 years?
And you can take some measures to protect yourself, right? But at the end, like when you lose, I also get messages. So at the end, you know, like
like my mom, my husband, like everyone, like your whole family,
I
like
think
everyone.
Like some measures have to be taken, right? I don't know, like if it's sports betting is the issue, like if we can do something to limit it or something.
Like protection for the player, for the athletes, but about the entourage.
It's literally everyone.
Yeah, and it's not that we're looking exposure, right? I have my social media private, but still they can like I go into my DM, and sometimes I go to DMs, request 5, you know, like if I go there, it's gonna be bad. You know?
Yeah, like don't even do. And I feel like that's it's a problem. Like I actually wouldn't want my kid to play tennis, but I don't want them to have to deal with the things that I
it's risky.
dealt with. Yeah, and it's like it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for everyone though. It's like I would say like I had like probably 5 years ago, I had like an FBI case where someone went to jail because of the thing that they were saying to me online. And like when they called my mom, it was in the middle of the French Open, and they were like, we need to like talk to you about like what's happening with your daughter. Like, we know she's playing in the French Open. We want her to testify in this court case.
Sure.
My mom was like, what is going on here? Like, what's happening? And it was like thousands of messages that this one person had sent only to me. And it was after I had won the US Open, and it was like literally like nonstop, but it was to everyone in my family, to my grandparents, like writing letters to their house, like all of these things, right? And I would never, like, in my life, I would never be like, I would want anyone to be affected by something that I did.
Yeah.
But like, the thing is, like, I won the US Open and he was upset that I won. And then my grandparents, my uncle, like my aunt, my mom, like everyone in my family was affected by this, right? But it was like, that's not like a normal thing. Like, that's not like,
You're just playing tennis.
yeah, I'm
Like-
just playing tennis. Like, this has nothing
You're
to
an
do with,
entertainer, yeah.
yeah, like
You do
I,
politics or whatever.
yeah, like I'm not involved in anything, and I wouldn't want my family to be involved or like negatively impact you, right? But it's like, you have no choice, like being a professional athlete. Like, I get it. Like, you're on a big stage, like you have a big voice, like people see you every week. Like, I get all of that, but I feel like it's kind of like out of hand.
Yeah. No,
And I'm on my
completely
third
agree.
FBI case, by the way.
Ah, yeah?
So
Okay.
it's like, yeah. So it's like, it's not it doesn't end. It doesn't end.
No, it looks like it's getting just worse and
Yeah,
worse.
as I said, like, I saw your post the other day and I was like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the beginning. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not even, wait till you get people who are sending you pictures of like AK-47s and then like holding it and then like shooting into the camera and like all types of stuff. Like, I've gotten the most extreme, crazy, like insane things. And it's like, people are like, oh, that's normal. Like, don't
Yeah.
open those messages. I'm like, don't open those messages. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
they're
exactly. Like for me, when I enter the tennis tours, like, you know, it's normalized. Like, come on, like we have to take
like,
we have to take action.
sure it's every day.
Yeah,
on
it's
this,
like
you know?
every day.
Because, I mean,
Yeah.
I know you have the mental tools to like avoid it,
Yeah.
you know, but like there's younger people coming up that like, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
And that's what I'm
tough.
saying. Like, it's hard. Like, it's really hard. And
Yeah.
I think like we normalize so many of these things
Yeah,
because
exactly.
we're dealing it with it
Yeah,
like
it's completely
every
normal.
day. It's totally normal.
yeah.
But I'm like, like, no one is gonna do anything. Like, no one
Yeah,
is
it's
gonna
very
say
slow
anything.
process.
Yeah,
As long as there's money there flowing, right? People
Exactly.
will look somewhere else.
exactly.
Cool. I think we're getting closer to the end.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh, my younger self. I would say have more fun. I would definitely say like go to more parties, like do all of the things that like I didn't do. Because now I'm like, as I'm older, I'm like, oh, like I'm gonna go to the Vatican again, or oh, I'm gonna go to wherever again. Like, I would have said, like, I've been to China the last 10 years of my life and I've never been to the Great Wall. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like,
Yep.
I-
went last year, so I
I had to push her. You know, like,
Yeah.
For me, it was so shocking. Like, you went to Sydney. Like, have you been to the opera? I was like,
No.
Yeah. So I
like,
just did that
it's
2
like
years
5
ago.
minutes walk from the hotel. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. If you want to go, yeah. But yeah, like I would definitely explore more. I would have more fun.
Mhm.
I would just like not like in the beginning, I think I took my tennis very seriously. I
Mhm.
was like, I still am a very like routine person, but like I would just get out more. Like I was like 20, 21, 22, like just like in these random amazing cities, just like in my hotel, like just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
watching shows on my laptop. Like I would definitely,
finding more balance.
yeah, I would have more fun. And don't get me wrong, I've had a lot of fun. Like I've done
Yeah,
everything
of
I
course.
wanted to do, but I feel like I could have explored more.
Yeah.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Good advice for the kids coming
Yes.
up.
Yeah, just have fun.
Cool.
Which men's and women's player would you like to listen in the podcast?
Ooh, okay. I think you should get Andre Agassi. Have you done him?
No.
Okay.
But
If you want to help us,
Yeah.
we are all ears. So
Okay, you might have to go to Vegas, but I think that you should.
We're
do it.
fine.
It's okay. Figure it out.
we will enjoy a couple of nights there. It's
Yeah.
fine.
So I think Andre Agassi for a boy, and for a girl. Well, if you did Andre, then you should do Steffi. That would be like
Yeah,
my
yeah.
girl and boy combo.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yes, that's my girl and boy combo. But as a girl that's like separate, I would say she might be hard to get, but Elena Dmitrieva.
Oh, yeah. That's
It's very
interesting.
random, but I feel like her
Very-
story is like very unique.
Cool.
Very interesting
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
She had a good career.
She had a great career.
She
And
had-
nobody see that's one of the ones
Yeah.
where I'm like, she was so great.
She was always like two or three.
Yeah. Like, and then she just like disappeared off face of the earth.
Yeah, it's true. Where'd she go?
We'll go find her.
Yeah.
I'm on a mission.
Yes, we can find her.
Yeah.
I like your choices.
Yeah.
Let's get it
I
done.
think you should get to Vegas though. That would be a good one.
Okay.
And do them together.
I'm
Because
down
then you
for
guys
it.
are a couple. That would be
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
cute.
Oh my
marketing
gosh.
right here,
Oh
it's
my
working.
God.
Yeah.
I like it.
Cool.
Okay. Let's try to reach her.
Awesome. Thank
Okay.
you, Sloane.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much
having me.
for your time.
Thanks,
Yeah, it was
guys.
awesome.
Really appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Thank you very much for listening to our podcast. Stay tuned for our next episodes, and in the meantime, it would mean the world to us if you can hit the subscribe button on the platform where you're listening to our podcast, and also if you can leave a positive review, it will help us reach new people. Thank you very much, and see you soon.
See you